Hi. Welcome to my first ever monthly wrap-up. Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited. Alright, so I read a whole lot of really good books this month. I don't think I'm gonna put them in any kind of order. I don't think, maybe just like based on when they got finished. I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe just whatever I pick up. We might just do that. The first book that I'm going to talk about that I read this month was The Beach at Night by Elena Ferrante. A doll is left behind by her little girl while playing at the beach. As night comes, we encounter many strange and intriguing characters in this story about relationships between mother and daughter. Now, I talked about this book a little bit in my other episode, but it was a whole lot of fun to read this month. It was a very quick read. It had a lot of creepy imagery. It has some really cool drawings along with the story. The imagery is very creepy and just made for it's how you would see a drawing made for a children's book, but all the subject matter is not meant for children, and I think that kind of makes an unsettling feeling in you, and I think that's what the book is trying to go for. But it was very good. A nice short read if you're looking for something short, creepy, but also very well written. I think that one's for you. The next book that I'm going to talk about that I read this month is Pilu of the Woods by Kaikei. Willow meets another little girl named Pilu. Together they conquer their monsters and see the world as it is. But not everything is as it seems in this tale of love, grief, and friendship. This was again a book that I read for one of my previous videos. I stand by everything that I said in that video. It is a very fun, very cute read. It's meant for middle grade maybe, but it's a really cute little book, and it's a fun little world to be in for a little bit. It tackles these stories of grief and how a child deals with the loss of a parent very well. The imagery is gorgeous. All the drawings are so much fun to get drawn into. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a little book to get you through an afternoon, or to even get you out of a reading slump. It's definitely a good book to do that for you too. Overall, I definitely really enjoyed this book. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Howls Moving Castle. I loved this book. I loved being in the world that Diana Wynne Jones creates. I thought it was so much fun. I honestly think I read it in like a day, because I just could not put it down. It's very different from the Ghibli movie. As far as the characters go, Sophie is very much more outspoken, I feel like, in this book. She really tells how it is. Hal is very much more foppish in this book, which I very much enjoyed. I thought him using the bathroom for hours on end was very funny. I thought the way that the author describes the character relationship between Sophie and Howl to be very funny. I found myself laughing out loud at a lot of points in this book. I will definitely be coming back to this if I ever find myself in a reading slump, or if it's just a rainy day and I want a book to get me through the afternoon. It only took me about 5-ish hours to read, so it's definitely an afternoon, but it's a wonderful afternoon to begin. Now we're going to be getting into the manga section of my reading for this month. I actually didn't read a whole lot of manga this month. The first one that I read is Beauty and the Beast of Lost Paradise. Now, I honestly don't think I would ever actually pick this up, but my fiance Matt found it in the bookstore, so I said Beauty and the Beast, my favorite Disney movie, and suggested that I pick it up. It was a whole lot of fun. It's definitely a world that I'll probably want to be in for a little bit more. I'm going to try to find the second copy, probably at Barnes & Noble or something, but it's a whole lot of fun. It's about a girl who goes out into the forest with her mother, and her mother's telling them, like, no, we can't be out here. The beast is gonna come and get us. And lo and behold, the beast comes and takes Belle's mother. and leaves Belle alone with her father, and her father blames her for her mother's death. And keeps her locked away, and the whole story ends up following Belle as she goes into the forest to find the beast years later and find her mother and find out what happened. It is a whole lot of fun, very action-packed. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. It was fun. Alright, the next 3 books were from the Demon Slayer series. I read the Demon Slayer 3, 4... out of order. I read Demon Slayer 2, 3, and 4. Now, I've talked about Demon Slayer before in a vlog, but I so much love it. I love the characters. I think it's a super, super fun manga to read, specifically if you like those creepy drawings. I just really enjoy it. I'm definitely going to be picking up the next few whenever I go to the bookstore and I can find them, but I'm definitely going to be continuing on with this series. It's a whole lot of fun. Alright, the next book is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. I got this because we were on vacation. I was in the middle of another book that was, I don't want to say it was tedious, but it was definitely in one of the slower parts, and I needed something to get me back onto the wagon of reading. And we were in Target, and I'd heard really, really good things about The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. So I decided to pick this up. It was such a good choice. It was so much fun. It has so many cool little sayings in there, a few things that I dog-eared, I think. But the drawings, just, and the handwritten writing in this is just gorgeous. It kind of reminds me of, the drawings specifically remind me of Winnie the Pooh. Some of the sayings remind me of Winnie the Pooh a little bit. It's just such a nice little emotional pickup book because all the sayings are gorgeous. Look at the end papers. Can we talk about that? Oh my god! It is a very, very sweet little book. It has a story if you look between the lines and read it all the way through. It's super, super cute. "I'm so small," said the mole. "Yes," said the boy, "but you make a huge difference." I love it! It makes you feel that like happy feeling in your tummy where it's like warm and it's just nice. But yeah, I read that book, and I'll definitely pick it up many more times in the future. Alright, the next book that I read this month is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I had a lot of fun with this book. I read it super fast, mostly because I wanted to get it done by the end of this month. I ended up reading it with the audiobook at the same time at like 3 times speed, so I got through it in like a day. Do I have a problem? Maybe. 750-page book in 1 day. It's fine. It was a lot of fun. It's definitely not like, it's a big difference between the book that I'll talk about next. As far as fantasy goes. This is an adult fantasy. The sex scenes, I had to like stop because I was just sitting in the living room reading silently, and the narrator did a fantastic job. Like, I don't know how she could have read most of the sex scenes in this book without bursting out laughing and taking it so seriously. It is amazing what she did with it. However, the sex scenes are graphic. The graphic nature of the sex scenes builds. It builds. Overall, it's a fun book. I love the last third of it. I thought the last third really shined for the characters and the plot. I thought the plot of the last third was really, really fun. I would definitely recommend it. Again, you know, if you don't mind that stuff. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is, if Silver Flames is down here as far as highbrow fantasy, this next book is like up here is Lord of the Rings, I guess, so like third of the way up probably. That would be Priory of the Orange Tree. I love this book so much! Oh my god! It was so much fun. I loved being in this world. The world that Samantha Shannon creates is just beautiful. Like, I've heard people say that it's on the tier of Lord of the Rings world creation. I won't go into that at all. I don't really know much about literary world creations, but it is gorgeous. I loved the lore. The lore is just so deep in this book, and I love the romance. It's a very slow build romance, but there's really no spicy scenes. Like, there's one, but it's a very loving kind of thing. But it's such a good book. I very much enjoyed it. I thought the climax to the villain was a little bit short. I don't know, I expected more out of the villain of this book, but the journey to get there, oh my god, it's so good. I absolutely recommend Priory of the Orange Tree, specifically if you like sapphic romances. Slow build sapphic romances. A+, fantastic. The next and final book that I will be talking about is Kaikei by Vaishnavi Patel. This book came out of nowhere for me as far as a book that I thought I would enjoy. This is my first book from Book of the Month, and I am so excited to keep up with doing Book of the Month. She is gorgeous, outside and inside. That is all. It was such a fun book, very slow again. It had a slow build up through the whole thing. It wasn't as much a slow build like that kind of thing. It was more of a slow build like in a wave, if that makes sense. It was a whole lot of fun. I loved being with Kaikei and Rama. I loved hating Rama. Rama was a child, and you watch him from being a baby going to this man that's been corrupt, really, by the people in the world. And I'm just angry at Kaikei and her husband, I forget his name right now, them just being like, oh yeah, this priest is causing issues. Well, come back years later. And they're like, oh, well, we should take this priest out. Don't monitor if their children are actually seeing this man that caused all these issues and got all these bad ideas into their children's head. Don't even pay attention to that until it's too late. I loved the characters. I loved the relationships between them. I love that Kaikei is asexual. I thought that was a really interesting thing that they added in there. I loved learning about a new culture and a new culture's lore. That was a lot of fun. And I've never read the Ramayana. That's not something that I had ever heard about. But because of Kaikei, I looked up the Ramayana and looked up the stories and why they're important to the culture and everything like that, and I thought that was a whole lot of fun to be able to do. So those are all the books that I read in the month of April. I had a really good reading month, a whole lot of really good books, not a whole lot of duds. I don't think I had any duds. I think they were all really, really good. But anyway, yeah, we'll see you next month for our May wrap up. Yeah, okay, bye.